Hey guys, what's going on? We're back with another Enhancement Shaman PvP video. We're in the solo shuffles. This will be the last video before the rework, so hope everybody's excited for that. But anyways, we are fighting a Affliction Warlock, Discipline Priest, Mistweaver Monk, Shadow Priest, and a Feral Druid. And if you didn't know, those are all top DPS classes. So it was quite the interesting one. Very sweaty, but you know, as an enhancement shaman, your goal isn't outright damage, it's controlling the enemy and dealing with them so your teammate can do all the damage for you. That's pretty much how it is. Hopefully the new patch fixes that. But anyways, our main focus is going to be the Feral Druid. Mainly because this guy in particular really likes to push in. Like, no matter what, he's just very aggressive with getting clones off and stuff, so he's jumping behind pillars and everything like that. Also, another reason why is ferals are very CC prone, so they will spam the crap out of Cyclone, and Cyclone is a very disruptive ability because not only does it prevent you from doing damage, it's also not dispellable, and it prevents any healing casted on you. So here, I'm a little bit back. You can see the feral is LOSing the monk, putting him in a bad position. I root him, hex him, go after him, and then he has to pop revival to remove everything with a trinket as well. So when I went to interrupt the Shadow Priest, I couldn't do anything, but here they run, so I push him away. Feral's chasing after the Warlock even more. That was a very interesting kick, not gonna lie. It was very instant. But anyways, I went for that lasso to stop the monk, but yeah. Anyways, when you're against a Shadow Priest, always look for the Psyfiend. Make sure you're most likely going to have Hailstorm, which typically one-shots it. But if you can, just send a Lightning Bolt at it, guarantees the kill. Very important, especially against Shadow Priest. A lot of them like it. And with Shadow Priest damage lately, it's very aggressive ability too. So here I'm actually hitting the monk, mainly because he's right in my face. And, you know, with an Affliction Warlock, we want more than one person low because it makes it more difficult on the healer. Forcing the feral into bear form for a little bit, and then there we get a huge amount of damage and the feral just falls over. When you're splitting pressure, especially against the monk or any healer for that matter, it's very difficult to bring people back up, right? Especially when you have the split pressure of an Affliction Warlock or a Feral Druid or a Shadow Priest. Hitting more than one target, very important. But here, we're going to be going after the Affliction Warlock for the most part, as much as we can, because Shadow Priests tend to have more durability to them, I think, but also Affliction Warlocks are just an absolute menace with CC and fear spamming. So here I can see the Psyfiend up, so I'm slowly going after it. You can see Hailstorm didn't quite kill it, and I misclicked with Lightning Bolt as well, so it's quite unfortunate on that part. But here I see the Warlock's going for a fear. He also has the pet on the healer, so I'm not worried about getting interrupted, because also Shadow Priests, they don't really have an interrupt, right? Silence is a very slow interrupt, but you saw him get gripped and then I was able to knock him out. That was just literally a coincidence. Not gonna lie, I was very lucky on that part. But here, he jumps back in. I interrupt the monk to get a little bit of extra time, but he jumps away. I was going for a root, but I didn't realize grounding totem was or root totem was on cooldown, so I go for a hex instead. Full hex on him, root the 2 DPS, preventing for a fear there, and we get a huge amount of damage. There's revival and swap, so I quickly switch to the Shadow Priest for a second, see if I can get anything, but just no damage. I don't have tremor, so I can't get the priest out of fear, but you know what? It was very DR'd. But here we get back on top of him, pushing damage. He doesn't jump into the ring for whatever reason, so it was kind of interesting. But here I get feared, but it's going to break pretty fast. Drop a Wind Rush to go faster. Go for the hex. Nobody interrupts. We get a huge amount of pressure on the Warlock. His Dark Pact is up. The Psyfiend is LOS, so I don't have to worry about killing it. Here we take a lot of damage, so this is where I start using heals and stuff, but we're so close to the kill, so we just force it, really pushing in. The priest is doing a great job at just barely keeping us alive. I don't have trinket to get out, but the monk is or the Warlock was LOSing the monk. I rooted behind the pillar, forcing a little bit, but slowly but surely we're able to get him down. I was very lucky on that part because we got very, very close. But yeah, monks And any healer, even if you root them far away and then you knock the DPS away, they're going to have a tough time catching them because one, they have to use their dispel to remove the root, but at the same time, most healers are fairly slow too. But here, the Feral Druid, again, you want to make sure you can't get any clones off. Although you do want to attack the Warlock, I send a whole bunch of damage here onto the Feral. That's Cocoon and Barkskin. We get a huge amount. The Warlock dips in behind a pillar. I don't really want to chase that because I don't want to put my healer in a bad position, right? So I just pull the Feral over, although he got the clone off there, which is a bit unfortunate. I don't want to put myself into a bad position because if I get stunned, the Warlock and Feral can just delete me pretty fast. So I'm not too worried about that. Here I should have backed off and went on to the Warlock there, but I'm just trying to pull the Feral away from his healer. Here he pushes in on our healer. It looks like he's going to go for a clone, so I just try and start peeling back behind the pillar. And you can see he's coming with me. You can just see that. So this is where it would have been great for the priest to come back and help. Just put a Psyfiend on him and start blasting him. But it was a bit unfortunate that he fell over. The Shadow Priest was also raging a lot. But yeah, like the Feral was very aggressive with his clones, so it was very easy to bring him into bad positions. So just remember that changing targets is very important. It's one of the things Enhancement is very good at because of how fast and how quick our bursts are. We're very good. But I always open with a lasso on the Feral because he pops Incarn right away. If I lasso him, he either has to sit the 8 seconds, which lowers the amount of damage going out, or he has to trinket, and then we can get a pretty good go on him later. But you can just see here, we get a huge amount of damage. That's Doomwind's window. Massive damage going out on the Feral. He has to use Barkskin. He's got his Instincts on. He's also got Pain Suppression. So we got a huge amount of defensives there. And I still have Astral Shift, which is really bad there. I definitely should have used it a lot sooner. I went ahead and bulwarked, but he also cocooned me, so it was kind of like, you know, not a very good trade, but you know, in the end. So I see the Psyfiend, but since the Feral's on me, I kind of let it sit for a bit, just because there wasn't a whole lot of damage going on the Warlock, and he was the one targeted by it. So I'm not too worried about that. But here we get a huge amount of split damage. There's Pain Suppression on the Feral. I go to cast the Hex, but get stunned on it, which is fine. And my my teammates get feared, but the Monk's able to revival it. Huge amount of damage with Ascendance proc here. Feral gets life swapped back to full. Pulled away. I'm going to back off. I don't want to run behind that pillar, right? Feral's very good. They're kind of like a rogue, right? They're going to stun you, and then they're going to blast you. If you're not in line of sight of your healer, you're definitely going to be in trouble. Here I get a nice stun on him. Very far. I pop Bloodlust, pop Wolves, you know, popping all the damage on him, trying to get him. The Warlock is just cleaving everybody. I'm just hitting whatever I freaking can because I'm slow. But here we get the Feral Druid, big Storm Strike, big blast, down. Huge. That's why I like this build. I just love the Doomwind's windows. They're great. They're so quick and bursty. Here, the Feral is actually going to play a lot on top of our Monk, which is really bad for us because monks, they can die to Ferals pretty easily. If we just sit there and let them free farm our healer, it's not going to be good. And also with the Cyclones, he has no way of breaking it out without Trinket. So here we start on the Warlock, get a huge amount of damage, like silence everything. I'm not sure why he's silencing the Warlock. It would be better to push it onto the Disc Priest, but you know, I'm not going to tell anybody how to play. But here the Warlock's pushing in, switch to him. He's going to run away a little bit, and then he's probably going to port here, if I remember correctly. I get stunned, the healer gets stunned, so I go ahead and lasso, dip behind the pillar, let the healer catch up. Feral is pushing in really hard. You can just see. So here I try switching back to the Warlock. I use my interrupt on the Warlock, unfortunately, go for a Hex, get the Priest in a Hex. I have no real way of chasing the Warlock right now, and I don't want to push in too far away from my healer either. So here he's going for Fears. We get a huge amount of damage. Unfortunately, the Warlock is able to get away from us. There's the port. Feral is way out in the open. This is perfect time to switch, right? He's on our healer. We just get huge amount of damage. It would have been a great time to switch rather than chasing because he's on his own. team is on the other side. So here we start doing a bit of damage, jump back onto the Warlock as he pushes in. That way I get away from the Feral and all of his cleaving. Very potent cleave Ferals have. These guys are insane. There's pain suppression, so I'm like, okay, there's no point in really keeping up with him. So I'm going to peel off away from the Warlock, not get hit anymore. Try and do some damage to this Feral, make him back off a little bit, use some CC on me, whatever. Get him off of my healer because the healer is having trouble keeping us alive due to the Feral being on top of him. Right? If the Feral's on top of him, there's nothing the monk can do. Here's the clone. I don't have an interrupt to stop that. Thankfully the monk is able to do something to prevent him from cloning. I'm just trying to stay away, you know, not take any damage, double fear, peel off a little bit, but the monk just cannot keep up with everybody taking damage and being pressured by this Feral Druid. If you LOS the Warlock, although he does have dots on you, if he's not casting on you, it's also pretty good too. But yeah, here it would have been best to punish this Feral even more, because Warlocks are going to be much stronger than a Feral Druid in this type of, or much harder to catch in this type of comp when you got a caster melee. It's not like double melee where everybody pushes in. If I push in alone, I'm going to die. But here, back with me and the Feral. Last round, we want to go after this Warlock. Mainly because his damage and his CC, again, more important than trying to stop the Shadow Priest. But here I had an Ascendance window, so I just go ahead and send it a little bit onto the Priest, see if I can't get any defensives out of him, because also the Warlock just already used all of his and stuff, so maybe we can get something out of it. Here, I don't even notice the Psyfiend until the Feral comes back, but I go ahead and kill it, drop the Tremor, or not Tremor, Surging Totem, start blasting the Affliction Warlock. There's double wall right there. This is perfect. We just gotta live until both walls are down, and then we have a perfect opportunity for some opening. Stun him. He has to, I think it was Trinket there, but I get a Hex off on the Shadow Priest just as he fears us too to prevent any damage, and then I root the Disc Priest behind the pillar. There he has to grip him. It's quite a fire grip, surprisingly, and we get a huge opener. We get a huge opening right here. The Feral goes in for the knock and clone. I think, no, he didn't. I thought he was going to get a clone there, but here, nice maim. I got an Ascendance proc with it. Huge amount of damage going out. Interrupt the Priest on his penance because that's his holy skills. That's all of his healing right there. Huge amount of damage. The Feral is going for the clone. Perfect clone. Get even more damage. He's got Trinket. He uses it. I knock him LOS, trying to push him away. Get him out of his healer's sight so he can do even more. Now he's probably going to port here in a second. Get an interrupt. Start slamming even more Ascendance damage. That's the second swap. So they have absolutely nothing to save him. So I hit the Shadow Priest a little bit. Go for the Hex. They thought I was going to get the... I thought I got it, but maybe not. But so we're still on the Warlock. It's just easier when you have double melee. But you can just see we're slowly rotting away. I see that beam that tells me Psyfiend is up. Whack it with a lightning bolt. Take it out. Feral is safe now. I tried to knock him behind the stadium, but that didn't really work, the little ledge there. So we both kind of peel away just a little bit. Tried to get under cover, but couldn't. Feral goes in for the clone. There's the Pain Sup, Bloodlust, Doomwinds. We just power right through this pain suppression. Monk does a nice job knocking, but here's the mistake the Warlock made. He gated away. That was a huge mistake. But anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Laters!